we are going to explore the Yamnuska Wolf-Dog Sanctuary. Yamnuska. Kind of fun to say. First things first, full disclosure, the Wolfdog Sanctuary isn't actually in Banff. It's about 60 minutes east of that, just outside of Cochrane, Alberta, which in turn is about an hour to 2 hours from Calgary. So if you're coming from there, it makes it pretty simple. It's a really easy little spot to add to either the very beginning of your trip or the very end, depending on where you're coming from. We actually came from the west, from BC, so we decided to duck an hour out of our trip time, hung out there, and then made our way back home after. And it worked out great for us. So, what is the Yamnuska Wolf-Dog Sanctuary? It is a non-profit organization that gives a safe home to wolf dogs who are in need of rescuing, whether it's because they were abandoned or they've been neglected. The sanctuary also provides educational programs on the importance of preserving wild wolves and wolf dogs in general. They also run adoption programs to help those wolf dogs who can still live in family households find a proper home. Part of this education is actually allowing people to come visit the sanctuary, to take tours, to learn about the wolf dogs and the problems they're facing, and to meet them in person. There are 3 different types of tours you can choose from, and each of them start here in this adorable little gift shop. Oh, and there's this big guy. The first tour is the Sanctuary Walk, where you simply walk through the grounds at your own leisure and peer into the wolf dogs' homes to get a glimpse of their life. The intro tour gives you the chance to kind of do the same thing, but you'll have a wolf dog expert at your side to give you all kinds of information you might not know before, to educate you, to give you a further glimpse into the wolf dogs' lives. Thirdly, there is the interactive tour. You do also get to walk around the sanctuary as much as you can, but the expert actually takes you into the enclosure with one of the wolf dog packs, and you get to interact with them, you get to feed them. If they allow it, sometimes you get to pet them, but they're pretty skittish and don't exactly enjoy that. Of course, each tour gets pricier as you go up. But honestly, the third one, the interactive tour, which is the most expensive one, is way worth it in my opinion. It's so much fun going in there and actually interacting with the wolf dogs, getting to feed them, getting to hang out with them and learning. It is way worth the money, and all the proceeds go just to saving these wolf dogs anyway. So your money can be going to a better place. It's pretty amazing getting up close with these animals and learning all these random facts about them. And I mean, you learn so much about them. For instance, what even is a wolf dog? A wolf dog is what happens when irresponsible breeders decide they want to make a quick buck by breeding wolfy looking dogs like Malamutes or Alaskan Huskies or Siberian Huskies with wolves. We end up with cool looking animals, of course, but we also end up with animals that are a little bit too doggy to be able to live out in the wild, but a little bit too wolfish to live in a family dwelling. And then they end up in the sanctuary because they can't live in the wild and no one wants to keep them in their households, and they have nowhere else to go. This is becoming a huge problem because people like novelty. They like having this strange, big, beastly dog in their homes. Oh yes, he's part wolf. Isn't that amazing? It's not. It's very bad for these animals. But then they get these pups home, and at first they're okay because wolf dogs don't really reach their maturity until about 2 years old, and then once that happens, all their wolf instincts come out, and they do not make good pets. They don't train very well because wolves don't really learn like dogs do. They become either very, very skittish of people and other creatures in the households, or they become aggressive, usually out of fear. They also don't tend to get along with dogs because there are a lot of language barriers between wolves and dogs. They also don't tend to bond with people very well. So basically you have this giant animal that's eating you out of house and home, and you work very hard with very little gain, and people don't like that. Regardless, most of the time it doesn't end up well, and the poor wolf dog is kicked out of the home and they have to find somewhere else to live, usually the sanctuary. Okay, so that kind of turned into a rant, but in my defense, I'm actually a dog trainer. That's my day job, so I get quite passionate when people are not educating themselves on dogs, whether it's a wolf dog or a regular dog, and they get themselves into something that they can't handle, and instead of keeping their promise to be that dog's guardian and family for the rest of its life, they ditch it. I see that often and it infuriates me. I can go on and on about how wolf dogs are mistreated and how ridiculous some of the breeders are and the people who buy them, but that is not the point of this video, so I'm going to try to move on. But here are some real reasons why you might actually want to go check the place out. You like dogs. You like wolves. You are interested in learning about a wolf dog. You are interested in supporting nonprofit organizations. You're interested in supporting the welfare of animals. You simply are bored and are out in that direction and need something to do. Now, reasons why you might not want to go there is, I suppose if you're scared of dogs, you might not want to do the interactive tour. Same as if you're afraid of wolves. If you're a young child under the age of 12, you might not want to go there, especially if you want to do the interactive tour, because you're simply not allowed in there. You are allowed to walk around, but not allowed in the interactive tour. If it's simply too far out of the way, if you're coming from the west instead of the east, it does add an extra 2 hours of driving time onto your Banff tour. If you're on a strict budget, it's not exactly a cheap place. Like I mentioned, the money does go to a good cause, but sometimes it's just not an option to splurge. If you don't like the cold, because if you're going to Banff in the winter, it's going to be cold, and so is the Yamnuska Wolf-Dog Sanctuary. However, being in the cold is actually great. Wolf dogs actually really love it when it snows out. They're way more active and they are running around more. Well, that's my take on the Yamnuska Wolf-Dog Sanctuary. I do hope you consider checking it out. It is a wonderful place. Of course, you might not want to, and that's okay too. That's what these videos are for. I'm actually wearing this shirt. Of course, yes, I did that on purpose. And if you're not sure what else to do during your stay in Banff, check out my other videos.